Hello, Los Angeles. Hello, Los Angeles. Nabo Live starting today. It is Monday. Happy Monday, Moguls, which is our original live. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you all had wonderful. Hi, Dr. Donna. Thank you for here again. I love technology. You guys know my mantra. I love technology. I love technology. But we are here. But tell me in the chat, how was your weekend? What kind of got you going for this Monday? What made Monday worth it? What'd you do this weekend? Um, let's see, me. I went to a wonderful wine camp, which was super, super fun. If you check out my IG page at Miss Rhonda Jackson _, you'll be able to see. Yay. Let's see, it's Dr. Donna here. I wonder if that works. I'm pressing the buttons and it's doing some magic on us. So now officially it's called Magical Monday because that is what's happening right here. Hello, Roche Trading. Thank you for joining us today. Are either of you woman-owned businesses? If you'll put it in the chat if you're a woman-owned business. Okay, let's see. Dr. Donna, did that one work? Let's see. Yeah, so happy to be here, prepared for a meeting at 12. And very good. So you walked into your Monday already knowing today it is successful and that you had what you needed. Yes, woman owned and operated. Woo! O&O, yes, woman owned and operated. That's a woo, right? Woman owned and operated. Woo. All right, let's see. I'm here. And we're going to continue the conversation. Yay!
Oh,
See,
I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you perfectly fine.
Awesome.
I'm actually excited that we both cheered because it is not all the time that we celebrate those little tiny things.
At the same time, I'm like,
Yes.
I gotta be with her. I've got to be with her. Your Rhonda Jackson is live on Nabo.
Yes, and we got our woo team in the chat. We've got woman owned and operated. I'm calling that the woo team.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. I was sending hearts. I know you couldn't hear me, but I was sending hearts.
I appreciate it. Well, we're glad to have you in spirit and now in person. So thank you for joining us. And just before we start taking off, because you and I have a rapport in our conversation, can you share with the audience, 30 seconds, who you are, what you do, what makes you so wonderful, or one of the things?
First of all, I thank you, Nabo. I thank you, Miss Rhonda Jackson. You are just the awesomest boss. I call you the boss, Rhonda. And I'm Dr. Donna Marie, and I'm happy to be on with you all. Most of you know that I have a show on RVN Television called Grace in Space, where we offer grace, that forgiveness that we need, especially in the business space, and also space for people to not only come to grips with whatever they're dealing with, but also to regain and connect in relationships. So relationships is what I do, talk about self-care. I've written a couple of best-selling books and recently a children's book on intellectual and developmental disabilities. But I really want to just talk to all of you ladies and hear what you need today as you are trying to self-care and soul care in this season.
Yeah, I think we should suggest some things. Like, what are the top 3 things? Let's start the conversation off like that. And then hopefully chat, please feel free to chime in. Pearl Trans, and Roche Trading Company. If you want to chime in, we welcome you to participate in this conversation. But if you say, like, before I've put my feet on the floor or before I create my definition, right? Because we all have self-care that kind of measures between multitasking and self-care, right?
Yes.
What are the top 3? Like, where should I start my journey with self-care?
I'm I'm with you. And you said the main thing you said was before I put my feet on the floor, I literally kind of give myself a minute or two space where there's nothing going on. So give some quiet time and some meditation and just enter into a heart of intentionality and just rest. Allow myself just a minute before Instagram, before phones, before anything else. Just allow myself that time in the bed. I don't even get out of the bed before I give myself that time to just rest a few minutes to just make a moment. So I entreat. That's number one. Number one is always wait on it and entreat. Hey, Destiny, you all right?
You see, yes, they're filling in. Destiny. Okay, hi Donna, you are so beautiful. Absolutely, isn't she? Isn't she? So, but that beauty comes from within. So what I love about you, Dr. Donna, is your beauty. It transcends just the physical, just the external, that you give that beauty, you exude that beauty from the interior as well. So I think that.
You are so very kind. I really mean that. You are truly just a kind person. And you also, you know, Miss Rhonda Jackson, you see people. It's not just a cliche. You actually see people. And I think that's one of the reasons for your success and your scale, and not only in NABO and also in your businesses and your studio. I love your studio, by the way. I love your studio. But you see people. And when you see people, people connect with people. And that's how we, you know, actually do the next portion of our soul care. We are intentional about relationships. We're intentional about people and building relationships.
Okay, so our first is taking our moment, that grounding, that centering that we do. And then you're saying that connectivity is the next step.
Yeah, that's
so
engage.
Is that so? Is that walking through the house and hello plant, hello tree, hello chair? No, I'm serious.
If you need, honestly, if that's who's there, I think you start off with positives. I think you start off engaging. If there are people around you, your family, your friends, whomever, your special person, if they're there, I think first of all, yes, say hello, acknowledge, and invite and engage with them. So that entreat is the first, and then engage in a positive way with the people around you. You are going to give out, you're going to receive in, but you've got to first be intentional about engaging with other people and your surroundings. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with saying good morning to my, you know, my plant, to my flowers. I don't mind, because it takes nothing away. It only gives out, and everything you give out is reciprocal. It always comes back.
Yeah, well, I like to express gratitude because sometimes those inanimate objects can control a day if you let them. My laptop, oh, please, we have it very, yes.
No, I do. I'm with you on that gratitude. I really believe that you set the stage when you are in a space of being grateful and gratitude. And you've got to be able to see, as I said, see people, see your surroundings, and appreciate them, so that you can have a grateful and a disposition that's a more positive, outgoing, before you get out the door.
Right. So can we talk a little bit about your journey? Because, I mean, were you born this enlightened? Was this learned? How did you train and like reset yourself if that was needed? Can you share a little bit about your process?
I appreciate you even asking, because you are right. You didn't just arrive at being a positive or upbeat or even an optimistic. I consider myself hopeful. I say my hopes are up. That's my hashtag, because I've gone through some seasons where they were not that hopeful, I would say. And most of you know also that in writing this book, Allie's Allies, which is behind me, it talks about the story of our daughter, who's a special needs child, who was severely special needs, and a lot of very unkind things happened to her, or she experienced. And having to put into your life the layers of love that you need to be present for someone who has a special need. And it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be your child. It could be anyone. So having to put in the layers of love there, and then you yourself doing the work of, you know, giving that self-forgiveness, that grace that you need. I talked about grace and space. You've got to give that portion too, because you are so needy yourself. You're harder on yourself because you're trying to be there for everyone else. So my story really starts way back when our daughter was very young and very much in need of support and help, and we didn't have it. And then functioning that into going to school and finding out not only how I could help her, but how could I help others, mothers, fathers, people that are supporting or caregivers for others. How could I support them? And that's kind of what I feel was dropped on me, was like, how can you do that unless you come from a place of wholeness and help yourself?
Right. As soon as you were talking about that, you made me think of giving from a place of abundance, right?
Mm-hmm.
You give when your cup is full, when you have that extra to give versus from a depleted state, which is more loving, right? It's not being selfish, holding back. You know, if you only have 20%, you're in conservation mode. But if you're even just at 100%, like not even in excess of that, you can drop to an 80 and still, you know, operate from that area.
Absolutely.
I think that.
And I say, and I agree with you from a whole space, from an abundant space. Yes. And even I would say this too. When you think about whatever you have, you don't think it's enough, but what you have is enough in that time and season that you can offer someone else some portion of it. That's why I say that it's better. Like even from a very depleted space, I still had to serve and love on my child. I felt depleted. I really did. But from a very depleted space, I still had to give out so that she could reap some benefits. And then also what would happen to me is when I see her smile or see someone else smile, it would also replenish me. But I definitely believe that you can do it from a place, you want to do it from a place of abundance. That's ideal. But even in a place of lack, I think we should still have a disposition of hope and engagement and entreating. Because if you're doing those things, they're going to actually fill your spirit, fill you. You know, your cup will be at the point where it can run over. But not if you're, you know, you're holding back. You know, a closed fist, it can't receive and it can't give. So you've got to be in a position where you're willing to be open so that you can both receive and give.
So can you speak to that a little bit? Because there's a certain resistance, I say as women especially, you know, we tend to be the caregivers in our family. We tend to be the nurturers in our business. How do you start that release? How do you begin to open that?
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That was a good question. I started, and I used the four. I used the idea of relationships, and I used the four that a lot of experts use. You go from a four, you go to friends. So what, you know, you need friends. You also need associates. You also need advisors, and then you also have assignments. So I say the first place is to open up in an area of a safe space with a friend. Whether that, I mean, of course it could be a counselor, but I can honestly tell you that most of my time and where I've kind of had to build in or to do the healing process has been with friends. People that you can trust, that you can share your story with. Not everybody, because you have some associates. Associates are people that you listen to theirs and you support them. A friend, an intimate friend, and I think you should at least have four good ones. One or two is great, but I think four, because every limb, you need to be carried out.
Yeah.
You need to be carried out. You can have one on each limb. That's kind of how I think of it. But having friends that you can speak and talk to help to fill your cup and help to open you up. And so they can get into those spaces where you're hurting or you're feeling, you know, less than, especially when it comes to business, because sometimes you're alone.
Right.
So you've got to connect with others, and you need a couple of close business friends or intimate friends. And sometimes they can cross, but for the most part, you need some friends. You need friends.
I hear you. And I guess the other thing that resonated with me was speaking from a space where, to your point, as an entrepreneur, we're often masked, right? If someone asks you how you're doing or what's going on, good, fine, hi, fine, you know what I mean? But so, you know, when is it okay to take that mask off? Or to your point, the who you can take that off for, and having that safe space that those four friends, hopefully more than that, but four safe friends, like you mentioned, that you can share that space with.
Yes, and I think you do that over time because you've got to trust somewhere. You've got to start somewhere in trusting. If you don't already have those relationships in place, you've got to start somewhere in trusting. Okay. And the only way to build trust is to trust. You got to just lean into it, and you got to trust. You got to trust that they'll be there. But then once you know whether or not this person is an intimate friend that I can share information with, and you'll know that by time always tells, then you'll know whether or not they're not just, but they are an associate, and that's okay. They're somebody that they can share their stuff with me. I can possibly help and encourage them. But it's not someone I'm going to share my intimate details with, because they're not capable of the capacity to hold that and to hold it dear.
You reminded me of a book that I read a long time ago called, it's called The Book of T. And the T was for truth, E is expectation, and the A was acceptance. And what you just described to me reminded me of, you know, the person is showing you who they are, who they can be, you know, to you. And, you know, does that meet the expectation? But even better, can you accept that relationship? You know, sometimes we want to force relationships into being something that they're not able to be, right? The person doesn't speak your love language, or, you know, whatever the compatibility is. So I love that you brought that up, that it's okay that once you've accepted that person in their role of support, and they mean you well and they want to see you grow and do well, but just at those different levels. I think that's super interesting. I don't think we've ever had a conversation like that.
No. And you know what? I wanted to bring it up because I think about when we talk about, and I love that you know, I love tea. I've never heard that, but that's a wonderful way to think about it. Because if the point of acceptance, I think that's where your healing also comes from in the portion of soul care, because not everybody can be that. And sometimes there's a season when somebody goes through that they cannot be intimate. They can't be one-on-one with you. They're not, it just isn't in their season for them to be that. And that has to be okay for you to accept that. That has to be part of your own growth and your own emotional well-being to accept it. But then the other part is the truth, because the truth always shows up over time. And you've got to give yourself the ability to trust. You just got to give yourself some time to trust. That's where you'll know whether or not this person also, and I'll say it in 4 levels. Like I said, a friend, intimate, and then I said the associate, someone that, you know, you're going to be in business with, or just a close associate. And then advisors, who in your life, you know, I call them, there's assignments and there's advisors. Assignment is, you know, you're Nabo. This is Nabo. And Rhonda, you do a great job of bringing people along. And so you have some assignments. Assignments are those people that you're mentoring, you're influencing. On this line, there's some very young women that are looking to you for influence. Those are your assignments. Okay. That's not for you to go and share all of your intimate details. You are literally on an assignment to share your expertise in an area that they need. That's your assignment. And then advisors, who's pouring into you? Who are those senior level business persons that are pouring into you? Now you are on another level. So you're pouring at one point, but also you still are receiving at some point. So relationships are going to be key for you.
Yeah, those I hold near and dear. Those women know who they are, and there are a few men, but definitely hold those relationships near and dear. But bringing up so can you speak to, just in the framework of that conversation, the importance, the synergies, even just your personal experience with an organization like NABO to create that safe space or create those levels, or, you know, have you grown in it? I want to hear your experience.
Oh, yes. Yes. And, you know, for the most part, I'm a part of quite a few organizations and on boards. And so I definitely see where there are some where I am friends with a person on the board intimately. And then I'm also friends with a person on the board who is an associate, who I don't share those likelihoods with. And then people that I am watching. So with NABO, to me, I feel like the package is there. Yeah. Because you have ladies, women at every level, and men, and you have folks at every level. I've seen that every event that I've attended, and I'm also going to be attending the Solid Gold Gala on this coming week, correct? On Friday.
Right. Okay. So real quick pause for a plug that you brought it up. August 11th, ladies, if you have not got your tickets, there are a few, and when I say few, I mean a few seats left to attend the 36th Annual Leadership and Legacy Awards Gala. The theme is a solid gold affair. So it's disco balls. We've got this wonderful panel of women that'll share their journey, their engagement, who their associates are. They'll share more about what's happening for them. And then we also have the wonderful sponsors like Bank of America, Chase, Southern California Edison, US Bank, UCLA, Metropolitan Water. I mean, just the gamut of support that we got to bring this production to the Los Angeles area, to the NABO LA membership. I mean, just phenomenal. So thank you to our sponsors. And then if you guys check out the page after the live and see some of the wonderful women that have been nominated as Rising Star, as, you know, Advocate of the Year, Woman Business Owner of the Year. So I think if women are looking to engage at a different level and want to start building that advisory board or that advisory group of the associates, and even some dear friends. You know, here's a gamut of women that you can choose from that have dedicated themselves to being in business, that have given back in service to their communities, and would be a really nice jumping off point, especially for forging those types of relationships. So yes, thank you for bringing that.
Oh, yes. And I say that because it is the key. I think it's one of the key places where you get all four. You get friends. You also network, and you can, you know, find an advisor. You can find someone that you can be of a service to an assignment. And then also you can, you know, engage with someone that is an associate that you already are doing business with. You can make further connections. More connections are made at your events at NABO, because I've been to quite a few events. More connections are made at NABO than you all probably know about, because not everybody tells you. But NABO is very much a networking, and networking to me, I feel like that's how you kind of try people on, and that's not an offensive thing, because like you said, not everybody's going to be a friend, but you can make a connection and you can build, or you can also, you know, work together to maybe scale for business. That's that engagement every single day. Remember, we're entreating, because you're going to, you know, look for the wisdom that you need for the day before you get out. And then you're going to engage. And where can you engage? You can engage in a place like NABO, or I should say at events at NABO, where you can truly make sure that you are engaging with those folks on all four levels.
I love that. I love this. So you got your ticket, you're there, you're giving us some conversation. And I appreciate, you know what I love about this conversation, especially on a networking level, is that sometimes, you know, oh, I'm not going to go, or, oh, I might go, but then you say to yourself or whatever, you know, being purposeful and intentional about creating. Okay, you finished.
I'm like, I go with the plan. I go with the plan in my mind. I'm not here to eat chicken. That's nice and all, but I'm not here for the chicken. If I actually eat the food, that's one thing. But it's the people. The whole portion of why you're coming is the folks that are there. And if I can glean from business, wonderful. If I make a connection and a new friend or associate, that's great. But it's people. People need people. I think that is one of the other portions, even from not from just from a business perspective, but from a human perspective. You only heal. And I say this every time I open up my show. People are healed in relationships. You are broken in relationships, and you're healed in relationships. And how do you build trust? You give trust. You have to give the thing that you want in order to scale, build, or to heal. Okay. You've got to give it. And you've got to be trusting enough to know that it's going to come back to you the right way. And you can't be so closed-minded that just because this opportunity wasn't what you thought it was, you kind of shy away. I go with the intention that I'm going to meet great people. I'm going to engage with a few. I'm going to take some cards home, and then I'm going to call a couple of folks and maybe just have lunch. Just keep it just that. Just keep it at lunch. We don't have to have a multi-million-dollar deal. But just keep it at lunch until we see what comes next. It's about the people.
So then will you happily extend an invitation to the women and persons in the sound of your voice to this Friday's event, please?
Oh, absolutely. Ladies, if you're listening, gentlemen, if you're listening, this is the last actually opportunity, because tickets are pretty much almost gone. But if you are looking to engage, you're looking for scale, you're looking to build yourself up in a self-awareness, or you want self-expression, you want to see some folks that are doing what you're doing, NABO is the place. And Solid Gold, I call it the Solid Gold Gala on this Friday, is going to be a great place for you to start. If you haven't already done some of the things that NABO was already talking about, or what they teach, it's a great place. This is the foundational level for you to build. You're not going to engage with yourself online at home. You've got to come out, now that it's safe to do so. You've got to come out, and you've got to be in the room. That's the energy. And now that you can come out, it behooves you to show up, and to not show out, but definitely show your groove, get your groove thing on for a minute as well. But meet some people and take some cards home and make some appointments.
Yes, come network, come partake. Thank you for that wonderful invitation. Thank you for your time. And I just want to give a teeny tiny spoiler alert that you're going to hear more from Dr. Donna in our upcoming events. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, we invite you back for our 1 p.m. live, and also in our upcoming Connects, but even more so on Friday, August 11th, 5 p.m. at the City Club to our Solid Gold Affair, the 36th Annual Leadership and Legacy Awards. Dr. Donna, thank you so much for your time, energy, blessings on you, my sister. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Nabo. Thank you, Miss Rhonda Jackson. Love being with you all today.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.